I'm not gonna lie to you. It really does get sad sometimes when like you see all your friends and stuff like starting families and having kids and you don't have any. But you know what? Get up, wipe those tears, and keep it pushing.
Jessica was one of those people that she just had a big personality. You just couldn't forget her.
What my car need? Gas. How you know my car need gas? Boy, don't look at that. Just make everybody know.
And when she got pregnant, we were like, Jessica, it's COVID. Jessica, you really think this is going to happen for you? Is this really safe for you and the baby? And she said, Miss Carey, I'm going to do it.
On May 10th, 2021, in South Windsor, Connecticut, 30-year-old Jessica Edwards didn't show up for her clinical training program at Hartford Hospital. Her absence raised immediate alarms. Jessica was known for her unwavering commitment to her education. By evening, her family had already begun calling hospitals and friends. When night fell with no word from Jessica, her sister Unique Edwards knew something was terribly wrong. Jessica would never just disappear, Unique told reporters later. Not without making sure her baby was taken care of. She lived for that little boy. The clock ticked past midnight. Jessica's phone remained unanswered. Her social media account stayed silent. By the next morning, family members had gathered at the South Windsor Police Department to file a missing person report. Officer James Sullivan took the initial report. The family was adamant from the beginning that this was completely out of character. Their concern was immediate and justified. Meanwhile, Jessica's husband, Tahj Hutchinson, told a story that initially seemed plausible. He claimed Jessica had packed a bag and left after an argument. According to Hutchinson, she'd gotten into a car with someone, though he couldn't identify who had picked her up. To outsiders, Jessica and Tahj had appeared to be a normal young couple, navigating the challenges of new parenthood. They'd welcomed their son just 7 months earlier. Social media photos showed a smiling family, a hardworking mother pursuing her healthcare degree, a father holding his infant son, family gatherings with both sides of their families. The search for Jessica intensified over the next few days. Family members organized community search parties. Her face appeared on local news broadcasts. Digital billboards along I-84 displayed her image and information. South Windsor Police Detective Michael Wilson noted, "We had the entire community engaged. People were searching parks, wooded areas, checking abandoned buildings. The response was overwhelming." But as days passed, inconsistencies in Tahj Hutchinson's story began to emerge. His timeline didn't match surveillance footage from nearby businesses. Cell phone data placed him in locations he hadn't mentioned. And when questioned about the couple's final weekend together, his answers became increasingly vague and contradictory. On May 21st, 11 days after Jessica's disappearance, police confronted Hutchinson with the mounting evidence against him. After hours of questioning, he finally broke. The truth stunned even experienced investigators. Jessica Edwards hadn't left home willingly that Monday morning. She had never made it out of their apartment alive. According to Hutchinson's confession, the couple had engaged in a violent argument the day before, Mother's Day. At the center of this fatal dispute, a pair of guinea pigs that Tahj had given Jessica as a Mother's Day gift. What seemed like an innocuous present had sparked a devastating chain of events. Jessica reportedly found the gift thoughtless and impractical. Yet another example of Hutchinson's inability to consider their financial situation and the responsibilities of caring for their infant son. The argument escalated throughout the day and into the night. By Monday morning, May 10th, it had turned physical and deadly. Hutchinson admitted kneeling on Jessica's back and neck until she stopped moving. A brutal act of domestic violence that ended the life of a mother, daughter, sister, and promising healthcare professional. Later that same day, while Jessica's family was beginning to worry about her absence, Hutchinson had already transported her body to a wooded area in East Hartford and concealed it under branches and leaves. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. How could a disagreement over a Mother's Day gift end in murder? What really happened in that apartment? And what does this tragedy reveal about domestic violence that often remains hidden until it's too late. Before we continue exploring Jessica's story and the events that led to this tragedy, take a moment to support our channel. Each like and subscription helps us bring important stories like Jessica's to light, stories that need to be told and remembered. These aren't just crime stories. They're opportunities to learn, to recognize patterns of behavior that might save lives in the future. By subscribing, you're joining a community dedicated to understanding these tragedies and preventing them from happening to others. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell now to ensure you never miss an episode where we examine cases that matter, cases that might help someone you know. Now, let's learn more about Jessica Edwards, who she was before she became a headline, and the promising future that was taken from her far too soon. Jessica Edwards lived with intention. Born and raised in Connecticut, she approached life with clear goals and unwavering determination. At 30 years old, she had built a foundation for what promised to be a meaningful future in healthcare. A career path that perfectly aligned with her natural compassion and drive to help others. Jessica always knew exactly what she wanted, her mother recalled during a community memorial. From the time she was young, she had this remarkable ability to connect with people who were hurting. It made perfect sense when she decided to pursue medicine. That pursuit led Jessica to enroll in a clinical training program at Hartford Hospital as part of a community college initiative. Her instructors noted her exceptional dedication. She arrived early to classes, stayed late to practice procedures, and approached each learning opportunity with genuine enthusiasm.
She was a hard, determined worker, and her big goal was to graduate, and she really worked hard for that.
For Jessica, this wasn't just education. It was the pathway to security for herself and her young son. Jessica's classmate Maria Johnson remembered, "She took such detailed notes. We all used to joke that we didn't need textbooks as long as Jessica was in our study group. But she wasn't just smart. She truly cared about patient care. That's something you can't teach." Healthcare wasn't Jessica's only passion. She dedicated significant time to local community outreach programs, particularly those focused on young mothers and children. Whether organizing donation drives for baby supplies or volunteering at community health screenings, Jessica consistently showed up for her community. Reverend Thomas Allen of South Windsor Community Church witnessed this firsthand. Jessica would bring her baby with her to our monthly neighborhood support meetings. She'd have him in one arm while helping distribute resources with the other. That kind of commitment inspired everyone around her. At home, Jessica's role as a mother to her infant son dominated her world. Born in late 2020, her baby brought a new dimension of joy and purpose to her life. Photos shared by family members showed Jessica beaming with pride as she held her son, her expression radiating the deep, protective love of a mother. Her sister Unique shared, "That baby became her whole world. Everything she did, school, work, everything, was about creating possibilities for him. She wanted him to grow up seeing what dedication looks like." Jessica maintained close bonds with her extended family. Sunday dinners, video calls with out-of-state relatives, and holiday gatherings were non-negotiable priorities in her schedule. These connections provided her with both emotional support and practical help with childcare as she juggled motherhood and her educational commitments. Beyond family and formal education, Jessica invested in continuous self-improvement. Her bookshelf contained volumes on healthcare innovation, child development, personal finance, and entrepreneurship. Notes in the margins revealed her habit of engaging deeply with new ideas and concepts. A journal found after her death contained lists of 5-year goals: completing her healthcare certification, purchasing a home in a good school district, establishing a college fund for her son, and eventually opening a community health clinic focused on underserved populations. Professor Melissa Jenkins from her training program reflected, "Jessica represented everything we hope to see in healthcare professionals. She combined technical aptitude with genuine empathy. Patients would have trusted her immediately. The field lost someone truly exceptional." The future Jessica envisioned was structured yet ambitious. Her financial planning notebooks revealed careful budgeting alongside bold dreams. She researched neighborhoods with strong schools. She investigated small business grants and healthcare initiatives that aligned with her vision of community care. Jessica approached motherhood with the same thoughtful intensity she brought to everything else. Her phone contained dozens of articles on child development, educational activities, and nutrition. Yet friends remembered how she balanced this structured approach with genuine joy and playfulness with her son. As May 2021 began, Jessica had every reason to look toward the future with optimism. Her academic performance was exceptional. Her son was healthy and thriving. The healthcare field offered stable employment opportunities. Her support network remained strong. The path ahead seemed clear and full of promise until everything changed on Mother's Day 2021. When Jessica and Tahj Hutchinson first met, those who knew them saw potential for a lasting partnership. Neighbors and acquaintances described them as a loving couple, building a life together. Their social media profiles displayed the standard highlights: engagement photos, wedding celebrations, and later proud moments with their newborn son. But this public image masked complicated dynamics that emerged early in their relationship. According to family members who later spoke with investigators, the marriage faced serious challenges almost from its beginning. Jessica wanted stability, her brother explained during interviews after her death. She had plans for their future: a house, education for their son, retirement savings. But Tahj didn't share that vision. He lived moment to moment. Financial tension became a constant source of conflict. While Jessica maintained steady employment and pursued additional education to advance her healthcare career, Tahj's work history told a different story. Court records revealed a pattern of job hopping and extended unemployment periods. When he did secure positions, his attendance was inconsistent, leading to inevitable terminations. A former coworker of Tahj's noted, "He'd show up late, call out at the last minute, or just not come in at all. Then he'd be shocked when managers weren't happy. It was like he existed in a different reality where responsibilities didn't apply to him." As Jessica's career path solidified and their son arrived, the disparity in their approaches to family life became impossible to ignore. Jessica's careful budgeting and future planning contrasted sharply with Tahj's impulsive spending and resistance to financial conversations. Their bank statements, later examined during the investigation, revealed a troubling pattern. While Jessica's income went toward essentials, rent, utilities, baby supplies, and modest savings, Tahj's occasional paychecks funded non-essential purchases, often made without discussion. Money disagreements evolved into deeper control issues. According to text messages recovered from Jessica's phone, Tahj began monitoring her social activities, questioning her about conversations with coworkers, and expressing disapproval of time spent with her family. "He'd text me constantly asking when I'd be home," Jessica wrote to her sister in February 2021. "Yesterday he called 6 times during my clinical rotation. My instructor noticed and asked if everything was okay." Witnesses later described how Tahj would arrive unexpectedly at Jessica's workplace or education center, claiming he just happened to be in the area, but effectively checking on her whereabouts. These pop-ins increased in frequency during the months leading up to May 2021. As Tahj's behavior intensified, Jessica's connections with friends and extended family began to diminish. What started as occasional missed gatherings due to scheduling conflicts became a noticeable absence from family events. Phone calls with once close friends grew shorter and less frequent. Her childhood friend Alicia noted a concerning shift. "Jessica stopped sharing details about her life. Our conversations became surface level. When I'd ask about Tahj or their relationship, she'd change the subject immediately." Simultaneously, Tahj's control extended to household decisions, regardless of his limited financial contributions. He insisted on having final say in matters ranging from furniture purchases to which family members could visit their home. Jessica's preferences were routinely dismissed as impractical or unnecessary. By early 2021, Jessica's journal entries revealed growing concerns. In one entry from March, she wrote, "I feel like I'm disappearing inside my own life. Every decision needs his approval. Every plan faces resistance. I'm exhausted from justifying basic needs for our son." That same month, Jessica confided in her mother about considering separation. She expressed worry about financial stability as a single parent, but acknowledged the current situation was becoming untenable. Her mother encouraged her to make plans quietly and offered support for whatever decision she made. What Jessica couldn't fully articulate, and what many around her failed to recognize, was how thoroughly Tahj had isolated her from support systems that might have helped her leave safely. Her increasing focus on work and motherhood provided cover for her growing isolation, making the control less visible to outside observers. In the weeks before Mother's Day 2021, witnesses reported increased tension between the couple. Jessica had begun researching apartment options and speaking with family about temporary housing arrangements. Bank records show she opened a separate savings account, a step many domestic violence experts recognize as preparation for leaving a controlling relationship. Tahj, sensing this shift toward independence, intensified his efforts to maintain control. The stage was set for the confrontation that would ultimately claim Jessica's life. Mother's Day 2021 began like many others across America. For Jessica Edwards, it marked her first celebration as a mother, a milestone that should have been filled with joy and new traditions. Instead, it became the catalyst for a sequence of events that would end her life. The day's central conflict emerged from what appeared to be a simple gift. Tahj Hutchinson presented Jessica with a pair of guinea pigs as her Mother's Day present. According to statements later made to investigators, Jessica's reaction was not what Tahj expected or wanted. From Jessica's perspective, the gift exemplified the disconnect in their relationship. As court documents revealed, she viewed the guinea pigs as yet another financial burden and responsibility. One more thing to care for when she was already stretched thin between motherhood, education, and being the primary provider for their household. The gift wasn't thoughtful, it was thoughtless, Jessica's sister explained after reviewing text messages from that day. Jessica saw it as another example of Tahj making decisions without considering their practical impact on her or their son. What might have been a minor disagreement in a healthy relationship quickly escalated. According to Hutchinson's later confession, the argument continued throughout Mother's Day and into the evening. Witnesses in neighboring apartments reported hearing raised voices well into the night. By morning on May 10th, tensions remained high. Jessica prepared for her clinical training while continuing to express frustration over the guinea pig gift and what it represented about their relationship. According to Hutchinson's statement, Jessica made comments about his inability to contribute meaningfully to their household, and suggested she might be better off without him. At approximately 9 a.m., the verbal conflict turned physical. Hutchinson claimed that Jessica struck him with a laptop during the argument. She then grabbed a kitchen knife, which investigators interpreted as a defensive move as the situation grew more threatening. What happened next was described in disturbing detail during court proceedings. Tahj overpowered Jessica and wrestled the knife away from her. He then forced her to the ground, using his body weight to pin her down. In his own words to police, he knelt on her back and neck until she stopped moving. Medical examiners later confirmed that Jessica died from asphyxiation due to the compression of her torso and neck, a brutal end to a life filled with promise and purpose. The timeline following Jessica's death revealed calculated behavior by Hutchinson. Rather than calling for emergency assistance, he left Jessica's body in their apartment for several hours. During this time, he cared for their infant son and began considering how to conceal what he had done. Later that same day, while Jessica's family was growing concerned about their inability to reach her, Hutchinson transported her body to a wooded area in East Hartford. He concealed it under natural debris and returned home, where he began constructing an alibi. When questioned by family members about Jessica's whereabouts, Hutchinson claimed she had left voluntarily after their argument. He told police she had packed a bag and gotten into a car with an unidentified person. This fiction bought him time as the search for Jessica intensified over the next several days. For 11 days, as search parties combed the area and Jessica's face appeared on missing person alerts, Hutchinson maintained his deception. He participated in family discussions about where Jessica might have gone. He appeared in news interviews expressing concern about his wife's disappearance. Only when confronted with overwhelming evidence, particularly cell phone data placing him near the location where Jessica's body was found, did Hutchinson finally admit to killing her. The confession came on May 21st, ending the search but beginning a long journey toward justice for Jessica. In his statement to police, Hutchinson attempted to frame the incident as self-defense gone wrong. However, the physical evidence told a different story, one of deliberate action and deadly force applied until life was extinguished. This case highlights how quickly domestic situations can turn deadly. We'd like to hear from you in the comments. What relationship behaviors do you think people often overlook that deserve more attention? Your insights might help someone identify concerning patterns in their own relationships or those of loved ones. Many victims of domestic violence show subtle signs of distress before situations escalate to violence. By sharing your observations and experiences, you're contributing to an important conversation that could save lives. Comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to join our community by subscribing for more content that examines these critical issues with care and purpose. The search for Jessica Edwards transformed into a homicide investigation on May 21, 2021, when Tahj Hutchinson finally admitted his role in her death. This confession, however, marked only the beginning of a complex legal process to secure justice for Jessica and her family. From the moment Jessica was reported missing, South Windsor police recognized unusual elements in the case. Her disappearance triggered a multi-agency response that brought together local law enforcement, state police resources, and specialized investigative units. Detective Sergeant Thomas Casey, who oversaw the investigation, explained, "In missing persons cases, the first 48 hours are critical." Jessica's case immediately raised concerns because her absence contradicted everything we learned about her character and routines. As search efforts expanded across Connecticut, investigators focused on building a timeline of Jessica's last known movements. They collected security footage from businesses near the couple's apartment, interviewed neighbors who might have heard or seen something unusual, and began the painstaking process of examining digital evidence. Technology ultimately provided the breakthrough investigators needed. When analysts examined Hutchinson's phone records, they discovered location data that directly contradicted his statements about his whereabouts on May 10th. His device had connected to cell towers along a route between their South Windsor apartment and the wooded area in East Hartford, where Jessica's body was eventually discovered. Detective Michael Preisher noted, "The phone data told a story that Mr. Hutchinson couldn't explain away. It placed him exactly where we eventually found Jessica's remains, a location he had never mentioned during multiple interviews." This digital evidence, combined with inconsistencies in Hutchinson's various statements, led investigators to obtain search warrants for the couple's vehicle and apartment. Forensic teams discovered traces of blood in locations that had been recently cleaned. The vehicle contained fibers and soil samples that matched the East Hartford location. When confronted with this mounting evidence, during an extended interview on May 21st, Hutchinson's carefully constructed account finally collapsed. After hours of questioning, he admitted to killing Jessica during their Mother's Day dispute and detailed his efforts to conceal her body. Even in confession, however, Hutchinson attempted to minimize his culpability. He portrayed the deadly confrontation as self-defense, claiming Jessica had attacked him with a laptop and threatened him with a kitchen knife. According to his statement, he had only meant to restrain her, not cause her death. Forensic analysis told a different story. The medical examiner's report detailed significant bruising and compression injuries consistent with prolonged, deliberate force applied to Jessica's neck and back. The position and nature of these injuries contradicted Hutchinson's claim of a brief restraint gone wrong. State Prosecutor Dana Mitchell summarized, "The physical evidence documented by our medical examiner painted a clear picture of what happened to Jessica Edwards. This wasn't a momentary loss of control. It was sustained pressure applied until her life ended." The trial process extended through 2024, delayed by COVID-19 court backlogs and multiple defense motions. Throughout this period, Jessica's family attended every hearing, often wearing purple ribbons to honor her memory and raise awareness about domestic violence. In the courtroom, Hutchinson's defense team attempted to characterize the incident as manslaughter rather than murder, emphasizing the alleged provocation and lack of premeditation. They pointed to his cooperation with investigators after his initial deception had failed, and his expressions of remorse during later hearings. Prosecutors countered by highlighting the deliberate nature of his actions both during and after Jessica's death. They emphasized how he had continued applying pressure despite Jessica's obvious distress, then methodically concealed evidence and created an elaborate fiction about her voluntary departure. In November 2024, the court delivered its judgment. Tahj Hutchinson received a 27-year prison sentence divided across multiple charges. 20 years for first-degree manslaughter, acknowledging the fatal violence. 4 years for tampering with evidence, reflecting his efforts to hide Jessica's body, and 3 additional years for risk of injury to a minor, recognizing that their infant son was present during the deadly confrontation. As the sentence was announced, Jessica's mother addressed the court. "This outcome doesn't bring back our daughter. It doesn't give my grandson his mother, but it does acknowledge the truth of what happened to Jessica, and perhaps that truth will protect someone else." Jessica Edwards' story reveals truths about domestic violence that extend far beyond one Connecticut community. Her case exemplifies how dangerous situations often develop gradually, with numerous moments when intervention might have changed the outcome. In the aftermath of Jessica's death, her family identified several instances where the severity of her situation went unrecognized. Her sister later recalled, Jessica mentioned arguments about finances, about Tahj's work habits, about household decisions. We treated these as normal relationship struggles, not signals of something more concerning. This pattern of missed opportunities repeats in countless cases. What appears as typical relationship friction often masks deeper issues of control and potential violence. Jessica's friends noticed her growing isolation but attributed it to the demands of motherhood and education rather than restriction by her partner. "She stopped coming to our weekly gatherings," a close friend noted. "We assumed she was just busy with the baby in school. We should have reached out more persistently, asked more specific questions." Forensic psychologists who reviewed the case identified key moments when Jessica's support network could have recognized the gravity of her situation. Her increased anxiety about financial decisions, Tahj's unexplained appearances at her workplace, and her reluctance to discuss certain aspects of her home life all suggested a relationship dynamic that had moved beyond healthy disagreement. Dr. Kenneth Barnes, who specializes in domestic violence cases, observed, "The most dangerous time in abusive relationships is often when the victim begins taking steps toward independence." Jessica's research into separate housing and her new bank account likely represented a significant threat to Tahj's sense of control. Connecticut lawmakers responded to Jessica's case and similar tragedies by expanding the legal definition of domestic violence. The updated legislation now includes coercive control, non-physical behaviors like financial manipulation, isolation, and surveillance that restrict a partner's autonomy. State Representative Angela Mills, who championed the legislation, explained, "Physical violence often begins with psychological control. By recognizing these behaviors as domestic abuse, we give both victims and law enforcement tools to intervene before violence occurs." Communities across Connecticut also strengthened response systems. Police departments implemented enhanced training for officers responding to domestic disturbance calls. New protocols help identify subtle indicators of control and manipulation that might otherwise go unnoticed. For individuals watching from home, Jessica's story offers valuable insights about supporting friends or family in potentially dangerous situations. First, understand that relationship violence rarely begins with physical aggression. Look for patterns of control, isolation from friends and family, financial restrictions, or monitoring of communications and movements. Second, create safe opportunities for private conversation. Simple questions like, "How are decisions made in your household?" or "Do you feel comfortable disagreeing with your partner?" can open important dialogues. Third, offer specific rather than general help. Instead of saying, "Let me know if you need anything," try, "I can drive you to appointments," or "You can use my phone anytime." Fourth, familiarize yourself with local resources. Domestic violence organizations offer confidential support, safety planning, and emergency housing options. Having this information ready can make a crucial difference when someone decides to seek help. Finally, remain patient and non-judgmental. Leaving dangerous relationships takes time and often involves multiple attempts. Continued support without criticism is essential. Jessica Edwards lost her life at age 30, leaving behind a young son who will grow up without his mother. Her family lost a daughter, sister, and friend whose potential will never be fully realized. Yet through understanding her story, others might find safety. If this video has helped you understand the complex nature of domestic violence, please share it with others. Your single click could connect this information with someone who desperately needs it. Spreading awareness about relationship dynamics doesn't just honor Jessica's memory. It creates communities where similar tragedies become less common. By sharing, commenting, and subscribing, you're helping build a network of informed individuals who can recognize concerning patterns and respond effectively. Thank you for being part of this important conversation. Together, we can ensure that stories like Jessica's lead to greater awareness and fewer lives lost.
I want to remember her smile. I want to remember the way she made everyone feel when she was around everyone. Happiness, laughter, and that's the memories I want to take.